Hello, my name is Spencer Porter, and for my senior project, I wanted to take a look at the reasoning behind all the negative criticism millennials are seem to be getting in the workforce. Rarely are millennials talked about in a positive manner, and I was curious and had to know why this was the particular case. For just a brief introduction, the workforce is currently made up of three generations. The baby boomers are the oldest, Generation X are the ones in the middle, and then the youngest are the millennials. Currently, millennials make up the smallest percentage of the workforce, even though we are rapidly taking over. So why is it that the smallest group gets all of the blame and zero credit? Why are the other two groups invisible to criticism, yet reap all the praise? This problem matters because it's one that's currently going on. For most of us, including myself, we are considered millennials. We are about to graduate and head off into the workforce. Some of us within the next couple weeks, and for everybody else within the next year or so. This is a problem that's still going to be going on. This is not anything that's going to be fixed before any of us have to deal with it once we get into the workforce. The two disciplines used are HR and psychology. HR is responsible for a great deal within a company. They hire, fire, handle complaints, implement new procedures, and anything else they can do to improve an employee's productivity. They focus on the people themselves that work for an organization more than the product that it produces. Psychology looks at each individual person's behavior and believes it can be explained from a situation from their past. Psychology believes that some people cannot help that they act a certain way that they do. When breaking down people from different generations, knowing why they act or believe a certain way is important to take into consideration before jumping to any conclusions. Over the past decade or so, there has been a change in the office dynamics. Policies and procedures have been changed with the hope and idea of improving employee performance. No longer is it expected for an employee to put in a 12 or 14-hour workday 5 to 6 days a week. In most fields, that is. Employees are encouraged to leave, go out, spend time with their families after they get off work. No longer is it frowned upon to use their hard-earned vacation days. Casual Fridays are seen in almost every company now. These changes have created a more stress-free, laid-back environment. But just because that it's laid back and relaxed, does that mean that all of a sudden every employee and worker has become lazy? Schuler did a study in 2013 looking at how the values of different generations cause issues within the workplace. The study found each generation values different things higher and lower than the other two generations, such as extrinsic and intrinsic values of their jobs. Only in a couple out of the 5 categories was the difference large enough to matter and make a point. This means each generation also feels very similar about certain things than the other two generations. So that means the millennials shares the same feelings towards a couple of things as the baby boomers, and also at the same time have completely different views, proving that the age gap cannot fully explain the differences in the values that these generations have. In 2015, Devaney sought out to better understand the millennial generation. In doing so, the core traits of each generation became important so that you could fully understand each one. The baby boomers were attributed to have the traits of workaholic, idealistic, competitive, loyal, materialistic. They seek personal fulfillment, and they value that title and the corner office. Devaney attributed Generation X to have the traits of self-reliant, adaptable, cynical, distrust authority, resourceful, entrepreneurial, and they are technologically savvy. Devaney attributed millennials with being entitled, optimistic, civic-minded, having close parental involvement, values work-life balance, impatient, multitasking, and team-oriented. As you can see, these traits do not blend very well and are a good reason why there's conflict. Each generation is going to fight for their core values and will not be easily dismissed. However, with so many baby boomers reaching retirement age, the millennials are the ones coming in to replace them. So not only are they starting to outnumber the other generations, but they're also becoming more valuable too. Companies understand now more than ever the importance of strong employees, and so they are catering to their needs in order to not only obtain the best possible employees, but keep them long term as well. Those two things have led to the changes in the workplace that are more suited towards the millennials than the other generations. Millennials have a sense of entitlement, and catering to their needs as soon as they enter the workplace certainly does not help with that. Baby boomers, on the other hand, are workaholics, and they have issue with the millennials' entitlement because they have had to fight and earn everything they have ever achieved in their careers. And now this young generation is coming in and completely changing their way of life in what seems like overnight. This is where the most conflict, tension, and criticism has come from. Now, I do understand that each person is unique and may not fall into their respective generations perfectly, but generalizations exist for a reason, and those are what I'm going off of. The conclusion is that the baby boomer generation is mostly at blame for the criticism, but not for the reason of me being a millennial cannot take responsibility, or that because baby boomers are the grumpy old men who hate everything new and young. The conclusion is that they are the ones who ultimately are responsible for creating the atmosphere and the environment of the modern workplace. Now stick with me because this might get a little far-fetched, but trust me, it'll make sense in the end. When you take a look at the millennials' sense of entitlement, you can trace its origins to another trait millennials possess, which is its close parental involvement. In a situation where a child has close parental involvement, that child never really has to work or earn anything. If they want something, all the millennial has to do is ask their mother or father, and they receive it most times, no questions asked. This culture growing up has given them their sense of entitlement because their entire life everything has been just given to them. Now take a look into why they have such close parental involvement. Millennials' parents are a part of Generation X. A couple traits of Generation X, if you remember, are self-reliant and resourceful. They got these traits due to their parents being baby boomers, whom have traits such as workaholic and seeks personal fulfillment. The Generation X parents had to become self-reliant and resourceful because their parents, who were never around and always at work, were out doing something that fulfilled their own personal needs. Out of spite of their parents never being around, Generation X parents vowed to be different and thus are always around their kids, creating the close parental involvement. For the real cause when it comes to all the negative criticism millennials receive, which is mostly from just the baby boomer generation, the answer is as close as the baby boomers looking at themselves in the mirror. We are all raised to feel and act in a certain way depending on the situation. Consequently, while the baby boomers were focusing on their work, they created the parents who raised the millennials, who are now the ones challenging everything in the workplace the baby boomers fought to create over so many years. I'm sure that there is some blame to go around to everyone, but before being quick to judge and criticize others, everyone should make sure that their own hands are clean in the matter. Here are just my 2 resources, and that's all I've got for you. Thank you very much for your time.